Oh, I can't hear you. Hi, Helen.
Hi, Joanna.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Helen. Helen, did you get the plans?
I got the second set of plans, which are very slightly more readable
Yes.
than the first plans. It looks like they did not do their own survey. It looks like they have, I can't remember what it's called, where you use everybody else's survey from around you and build it out of other people's surveys, was what it looked like. And
There's a note that's, well, I don't want to get into it now. I just wanted to,
Right.
we can bring that up during that actual item, but
yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that you got it. So that's great.
did
And
get it.
I apologize about that. When I sent it out, like I said, it was listed in the email saying that I included it. And then I looked back at the email and it certainly wasn't on there. So thanks for noting that.
Well, no, that's fine.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you, Joanna?
Well, I'm better. I've been
Uh-oh.
home for a few days, not good at all. Hence, like I have a sweater. I'm disheveled, but this is the best that I can do.
You look a little like Mama tonight.
I will not lie that I have a blanket on my.
Like, and Joanna, what's the matter?
I have had very bad cold symptoms. I haven't been out. This is the first day I've been out of bed in 3 days.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I don't know.
COVID.
Going to get a test. We'll see.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's strep throat because I get it every year. And this is similar to what it is. And I've had no fevers or any of those other things.
Oh,
But-
good. Okay. That's good.
I can't get one of those tests until I get the other test.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does your primary care physician say?
He thinks it's also strep throat because literally I get it every year, once or twice, always like at the beginning of the winter and usually like right in the middle. But protocols, I can't go to the office to get a strep test until, and he didn't, and protocols that he's not supposed to give me the antibiotic.
Mhm.
Although I miraculously feel better today for some reason.
Oh, good. Okay. We're glad that that protocol was
So pretty sure that it's strep throat.
into little. Oh, I hope so, Joanna.
Not fun.
Yeah. Even strep is terrible.
It's not, but I'm so used to it.
That's too bad.
But I have a voice today, so.
Glad to have you with us.
Disabled.
Don't push it though.
The walk-in clinic. She had to call ahead, make an appointment, had to wait out in the parking lot.
Oh my.
So who's vice chair? Warren?
Warren.
Alright.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take the stage tonight?
I
Moving.
got my top hat and my cane, and I don't have a gavel though, so.
So am I gathering that Anthony is not going to be here tonight?
Yes.
He's not. Yeah, he had an emergency he needed to tend to. So
So
Okay.
we'll list him as an excused absence.
I am
Please.
listing him such currently.
That Warren, is that Duchamp?
Yes,
I think so.
Ugh.
It is.
it is.
There we go.
we
Where's
got.
my video?
I think we have everybody's present. I see Hillary,
And
David.
asking if he's
Hi.
Please tell
Thought I
me
saw George. Oh, there he is. He's
Don't
connecting to
start.
audio right now. Obviously, I got Warren.
block with regard to billing until these assholes are done talking about all their personal garbage, exclamation point.
Somebody needs to mute themselves.
Or just identify themselves.
And you're welcome for all these people volunteering their time for you.
Right.
Interesting.
So Warren, whenever you're ready.
Okay, we now have a quorum, so
Yes.
we will do that. I'm gonna call the meeting to order at, I've got 7:05.
I've got 7:02, Warren.
Okay.
I'm appling
Well, you are the official timekeeper then, Helen.
you. Okay. 7:03.
And if the secretary would call the roll.
Okay, Mike Carpenter,
Here.
Hillary,
Here.
Warren,
Here.
David,
Here.
George.
George is just joining again. It looks like he had to rejoin.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's just wait a second. He's
Yep.
connecting to audio.
I'm going to say also present is Helen Hardy, secretary. Anthony Renzi, chair, is excused. Also present are staff Michael Antonellis, planner, Joanna Achilles, secretary.
So
That's
let's,
all the staff I spot so far.
George, are you there?
And George, are you with us yet? Nope.
He's logged into the meeting.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Hi, George, you're here?
George, can you hear us? I don't even see a microphone next to your name, which is odd. Everybody else has a microphone, and if you're muted, it says it's red with a dash through it. So maybe if you can hear me, call with your phone to get audio.
Okay, well, we can do, call for an approval of the minutes of October 21, 2020.
So move, Warren.
Okay, got a second on that?
Second.
Hillary, moved and
you.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do you have to roll
David.
call?
Okay, no, Hillary, David,
Yeah, okay, yes, I have to do roll call
All
for a
right,
minute.
roll
So Mike Carpenter,
Aye.
aye. Hillary,
Aye.
Warren, do you want to vote on that?
I'll go. I was abstained.
I know, but oh, you don't have to abstain. We have a ruling on that. So if you read
Well,
the
I wasn't here.
you weren't
right.
there, yeah.
right, I know that. So, okay. All right, David,
Aye.
Anthony, no, not here. I will vote yes, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And
And George is rejoining. He signed
I
out again.
just going to say I don't have George.
Yeah.
So it's 4 to
Abstention.
1 to 1 to, we don't know yet.
Okay. Well, that's enough to carry.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Any correspondence, Michael?
I did not get any correspondence.
Okay. So item D is waived. No correspondence. Next item, E, Partners Auto Auction, administrative review of the landscaping plan that was submitted.
So I see we have Mark David is present to represent that, as well as attorney William Nguyen. So however you want to proceed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll have, it was pretty much an administrative procedure. Having not been here, we'll rely on Michael's analysis of the plan to cover the minutes.
Sure. So the plan submitted, everybody should have got a copy. I can actually, while I'm here, why don't I just share the plan
Okay.
so we can all look at it. And actually what I'll do too is I'll bring up the draft, this site plan decision with the conditions. So we can all look at condition number 3. That was a part of the vote, which pretty much details what was supposed to be on the plan. So let me just do that. Hold on. Okay, can everybody see the document?
Yes.
Yes.
So number 3, condition number 3, the approval of this site plan shall be conditioned upon approval by the planning board of a landscape plan which shall include the following: a vegetated buffer along the rear property line of the Sackle property, which shall include trees which are 6 feet in height and appropriate for planting in wetland areas with DEM approval, if necessary. And then non-vegetative screening along fencing on Snagwood Road, and fencing or other adequate screening option for the front of the business on Danielson Pike. And then, so I'll then bring up the plan. Oh.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just need to move the plan to my local drive here so I can share it. I thought I had moved it before. Just give me a second.
Oh, all right.
Just a little copy paste action. All right. Here we go. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you'll see in the front here, there are 2 berms on either side of the entrance. And on those berms, there are arborvitae, as well as I think that's a bush, 16 candles summer sweet. Yeah, on either side. So you got 3 arborvitaes, green giant arborvitae on each side, and then 6 of the green, 6 of those 16 candles summer sweet, which are some shrubbery to fill it out. So that's on either side. If you look on Snagwood Road, they've denoted that fence area in green. And so what they've proposed to do there is fill it with those slats. It's going to be I believe a green slat. And I'll ask, yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's the detail of it. So that's what it'll be. And then on the Sackle or the line of the Sackle property, it says 15 count tree plantings may be moved to the north side of the fence with the written permission from the adjacent property owner. And that came out of, obviously there was discussion about, I believe there was some tree removal just over the property line. So I believe what they proposed here is to reestablish some sort of vegetative buffer by replanting some, I think that's white pines are supposed to go there. 15, yeah, Atlantic white cedar are supposed to go there. And so that'll either be just over the property line or just before the property line, depending on agreement with the adjacent property owner to help fill out the removal of those trees. So that's it. I don't think I missed anything, but obviously the applicant, if they could jump in and correct me on anything that I may have missed or stated incorrectly.
I just want to clarify, George, you're recusing yourself from this item?
Voting?
From participation and voting?
Oh, from voting, yeah, but I mean, pertaining to my property line,
But
we will
you're,
have a conversation.
well, you're recusing yourself as a member of the board from
Yes,
discussion?
I'm recusing myself as a member of the board, but not as a,
Yeah, no, yes.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you, John, for clarifying. Yeah.
Thanks, George.
Michael, Bill Wynn, I did want to say we have, the applicant has worked with Mr. Sackle concerning that permission and any permission that would be needed from DEM. I believe that the abutting neighbors are working together to make sure that they can plant those trees in that area just over that line. They would just need a simple application to go into DEM to make sure, but I believe that the abutting property owners have worked that out, that they'll be able to submit that.
Great. And if when you get that get that permission from DEM, if I could just get a copy of it to keep on
absolutely.
file, that'd be great. Thanks. So, I mean, so my analysis of it is, I think it's in keeping with what the condition was, condition of approval. But I would just kick it to obviously this is for your approval. If you think this is enough, if you think this is adequate, let it be known. If not, obviously let that be known, and what else you would like to see. I'll say that the fronting of the property, what I like about it is that it narrows the entrance and gives it a little bit more of a defined ingress and egress instead of having, a full 200 feet of wide open curb cut. Obviously, I'll put on my traffic engineering hat, even though I'm not a traffic engineer. But that is good practice to have a more defined curb cut and less open, space flowing from the property onto a state highway. It just helps direct traffic in a better manner. So I'll leave it at that. And through the chair, what would the board like to do at this time?
Can I just go over something real quick? As in a butter?
Through the chair.
The chair recognizes George.
Thank you, Warren. I just want to say that Luke and I have been working together, and I did agree to have them plant those trees on my side of the fence, but with the understanding that if a tree should die, that they would water them and maintain them and take care of them, because it's not feasible for me. I don't have a long enough garden hose.
Right.
And I'd like to, like it to be pointed out, or that is in agreement with the team over at Partners, that they would replace any dead trees, and that they will maintain the trees, which probably isn't a problem in foster soil, but we just wanted that to be on record anyway. If someone from Luke's team, or Luke, if you're here, you can agree to that on record, that would be helpful.
There's no objections to that. We made a notation on the plan. I believe it's towards the bottom of that sheet, Michael, if you would, that anything that would die, we would replace that. So.
Do you see what she's saying?
The species of tree that was called up by the landscape architect said that it would survive just fine in that high water table. So, but if there's an issue, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I see a note here, number 3, all plant material to be guaranteed to survive at least 1 full year from date of planting.
Yep.
All right, what happens after the 1 year, Dave?
We'll replace it.
Yeah.
Can we have that on, that's on file then, right?
No objections to that.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that.
In the past, we have put a 5-year time span on that the plantings have to be maintained for at least 5 years.
If they're willing to maintain them for forever, I'm okay with that.
Oh, good, okay.
Well, if the chair could butt in on that, the requirement is for the buffer to be maintained for the plan to be approved, so that the buffer should be maintained as long as the use is in existence, and that the traffic engineer on me is saying that the taller trees, the TGGs, they're the green giant at Are those far, they appear to be far enough back from the drive that they wouldn't interfere with the view up and down Danielson Pike? I know your civil engineer is not here today, but either.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Steve Andrus. I'm with Commonwealth. I'm here. I just, my picture's not showing up on the screen.
Okay.
The plantings are back at the property line, which is approximately 25 feet from the edge of the state roadway edge.
Okay.
So there is adequate room when you pull up to see past it and still make the turning radiuses and such.
Okay. All right. That was, all right. So that second line out is, so you've got almost a full vehicle between there and the property line and the.
Yeah, so that's the property line's there. The pavement line is out in front.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll go with that. And just because I was not here, the crosshatch area, 48 by 150, that represents what?
That represents the loading and unloading zone that they use when the trucks pull in to unload. That's on the site plan, which isn't up here tonight. Just that note got left off the landscaping plan.
Okay, that was just curious. Okay, any other input from members of the audience?
Can I give a thumbs up for the clethra, being that Karen included in the landscape, in the plant out front? That's a great bee plant. It's a good native shrub, and thumbs up.
Okay.
So,
Warren, I just wanted to mention about the trees. I understand that the offer is, that they take care of them in perpetuity, but that is not necessarily as easily enforceable as the 5 years, because at some point in time, you talk about reasonability of having to maintain, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I think it's the board's pleasure, but if something should happen, it may be easier to enforce if the 5-year limitation is in there, rather than just they're going to maintain the trees forever.
Well, that they are part of a, I mean, like the fence would have to be maintained, the buffer would have to be maintained.
But the trees are going to be planted on somebody else's property, not on their property.
Understood.
Well, we don't have to plant them on my property, Joanne. We could move them over the line onto their
You guys
property.
can, hey, listen, I'm telling you what happens if God forbid that should have to happen, but that's my suggestion. You guys can do whatever you'd like.
I agree, and that was a concern of mine as well. Wouldn't step in the way of a neighborly agreement, but the maintenance would then fall upon the building official and the highway director to maintain through the property maintenance code any issues that were a required condition of approval.
Right.
So.
can I raise a question just as a forest owner and so forth? Like, if I were George, I would want those trees on the actual site where they're going to be maintained, and that because your land over there is going to naturally revegetate with white pine and whatever else you have in the area as mass trees. And but if you want this buffer, it seems like the only way that you can really assure that that's going to stay there is if it's on their property along that fence line.
Well, that was my initial.
If I may, that we were able to come to an agreement on this plan, and was based on our previous meeting, was that would be, we would able to put it on Mr. Sackel's property with his approval and with the agreements that Mr. Sackel put on the record that we've agreed to, and that the property owners would continue to cooperate with one another and work together. As we stated on the record last time we were here, the issue with putting them on the property was the limitation in the space that's already available. That was why the conditions were put in place as they were, and why we've expended the effort in order to not only cooperate with the neighbors, but also interact with DEM and make sure that we're abiding by all those other regulations. So I don't want to, I appreciate it. I just don't want to undo the work that has been done in order to get us to this point.
Okay. Okay, well, that language is so noted on the plan. If the plan is approved, then that could be an either or. Any other comments in the waiting room there? Hearing none, we entertain a motion, a positive motion on the project.
Motion to approve the landscape plan as submitted to satisfy requirements as stated in condition 3.
Okay, second.
Second, David.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I will do a roll
Helen, call
call.
the roll.
Sorry.
I'm
Thanks, Helen.
sorry, I'm writing.
Okay,
Okay, so this is approval of the landscape plan. Okay. Mike Carpenter,
Aye.
Hillary,
Aye.
Warren,
aye.
sorry, Warren, David,
Aye.
George is abstained, I believe,
Yep, I recuse.
recused. Thank you. Anthony is absent, and aye for me. So that vote carries 5-0 to 1.
Okay, so noted.
Okay. And could, Steve, if you could just amend the plan appropriately and send me an updated plan with the notes as discussed with the tree timeline?
Yes, yeah, I can do that. So, can I get a copy of exactly what it was noted as? Could you send that to me, Michael? I'll just make sure that I match up. Okay.
Yep, will do. So for clarification, for Steve, what's the timeline on the trees? Did we do 5 years maintaining or?
Yes.
I thought
Okay.
it was continual maintenance. On the back line.
Yeah, on the back line specifically, yeah.
I thought that was continual maintenance, as long as the site is kept its purpose.
No,
Because we didn't want to go in between the plan of the neighbors and,
well, as council pointed out, that becomes a
why?
enforcement issue at that
Why?
point.
Why is that, Joanne?
Mr. Sacco, if I may, what happens on the condition of the plan versus the agreements that you might have with partners can be two separate things. We can agree to continue to support and maintain, but it's just not, I think, from the board standpoint, it was just not enforceable by the state at that, by the town at that time.
So what protects me should you guys decide not to maintain?
That would be I would understand it to be a private right, but I can't advise you as to that, but that would be my understanding. It just wouldn't be the town's enforcement issue.
So, okay, but I guess I agreed to this, provided there would be something on public record saying that you will continually to maintain it, and Luke was okay with that. But I feel like I'm kind of being pushed aside here and not protected by the town. Or, I guess my family would like some comfort in knowing that you guys would continue to do that.
We've stated it on the record. I can't speak for the town, Mr. Sacco. We've stated on the record that we will maintain.
Okay. So, all right.
Joanna, I appreciate the abutter's concern.
So I cannot give legal advice to the abutter per se, but I will say as far as the town, these are going to be trees that are planted on a separate property. And you're looking for a condition that essentially says that the town is going to go after somebody in perpetuity if the tree is not maintained, and that at some point in time, it becomes somewhat of an unreasonable condition. It's something that the court is just not going to enforce. Now, if Mr. Sackle and the applicant's going to plant some trees on his property, if they have a written agreement, then that is a right that he can enforce privately.
Shouldn't
but-
the approval be contingent upon any agreements that are made?
Well, they can't plant the trees on your property until,
No, I get it, but I guess what I'm saying is, we're protecting the rights of the Partners Auto Auction, which is great, but at some point in time, the town has to recognize the rights of the town's people and the taxpayers, the existing taxpayers in town.
but the
So
town, so
William, are you saying that if it's on record, then I'm protected? So
I can't advise you, Mr. Sackle, and I don't want you to think I'm being difficult. That's just, I can't ethically advise you as to your rights. I'm not trying to be difficult. What I'm trying to tell you is that we have an agreement. You've had an agreement with Luke. That agreement stands. I can't speak on behalf of the town on what they're putting on the record for their enforceability issues, but I'm just suggesting that I don't believe that necessarily limits the agreement that you have with Luke.
Yeah.
I get that, but Joanne, so why is it okay to do it for 5 years, but not okay to do it longer?
Well, George, I think what Joanna is trying not to say is that the planning board and then the town is going to be committing itself to a condition on a property that it doesn't have review over at the present time. Delicately, your property is not under review. This property is. Those conditions of approval on an applicant's property, the town has more weight of enforcement, because in the building and the zoning and the property codes, the violation goes to the owner of the property. So if those trees die and it's a condition of the buffer, they'd have to technically cite you. You can step on my foot under the table, Joanna, if I misspoke.
it's a sticky point, because yes, they're not on the property, and typically the guarantee is that you're going to plant something and not let it die. But after a certain amount of time, once it's kind of taken, there's only so much maintenance that you can do. And again, after a certain amount of time, 10 or 20 years from now, if the tree falls, it does not become as enforceable if you leave it very vague. So I'm trying to get you more protection by putting the 5 years in there to make sure that if something happens in 3 years and nothing's done, the town can step in and help you. That's what I'm trying to do with the 5 years, rather than leave it very vague. But if you have a written private agreement with
Nothing's in
partners,
writing, that's why I would like it. I guess what I'm saying is I would like it in writing, but.
that's something that you would talk to them about, not.
Well, yeah, but you guys taking my edge away from me today.
Well, no, that becomes a civil matter between property owners.
Right, and you don't have to allow them to plant anything on your property until you're satisfied, right? So if you guys have an agreement, that's your option. I can't mandate that they sign a contract with you.
Luke is a good person, so I will trust Luke.
I think we'll be able to work it out, Mr. Sackle.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. I just trying to, cover the legalities of it and protect myself and my interests, my family's interests in the long run, and I don't personally think we've done a good job of that as a board, and hopefully in the future we can improve on our zoning and such. But anyway, that's fine. Was lighting a separate conversation, or was that part of this conversation too?
Lighting was already in the decision.
All right, so it's all going on. I had computer issues in the beginning, as do most of us every now and then with this thing. It's all motion lights, right, as discussed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, William.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
So the issue was moved, seconded, and voted in favor.
Correct.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right,
Mike
so-
Carpenter moved, David seconded. The motion was as according to what Michael and Eric favor, so.
All right. Next item, minor subdivision 114 Old Plainfield Pike. Is anyone present to represent that?
Deborah Grant here from Environmental Planning.
And Deborah, is the property, is the applicant with us as well?
I tried to get Mrs. Nagel on. She was not able to connect to the Zoom meeting. She is available by phone if we have any questions for her.
Through the chair, Joanna, do we need to have the property owner and the applicant just confirm that or do they need to be present in any such manner tonight?
Did you, somebody, yes, just does need to say that they want to do this on the record. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured. I was just confirming.
Or-
So yeah.
Or that Ms. Grant has in writing or has submitted in writing to the planner that she is authorized to represent the owner, right, Joanna?
Yes.
Don't believe there was such an.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think I have anything in writing anyway. Can Deb, can you just get her to call in with the phone?
What number?
Yeah, 1 second, let me bring it up. Call 1-646-558-8656.
Okay.
And then I got to give you the meeting ID too. Okay. The meeting ID she'll have to punch in is 948-3393-9759.
948-339-39759, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Michael, Deborah, could you say again, please, what is Deborah's, or what's her company called?
Oh, Environmental Planning and Surveying Incorporated.
Was that on the plan that we got?
Yeah, it's on the bottom right here.
Okay.
I'll just bring up the plan.
That would be great. Just an FYI, we in the past have required a scale, have had a scale requirement so that it's possible to actually read the plans that are submitted.
I think it's in it's in the ordinance, I thought.
Yeah. Without a, extremely powerful magnifier.
Yeah, I think you're looking at, that was probably a reduced size copy that was scanned in, if I were to guess. I do have a larger copy of it with the file. I apologize. I thought I put that in your packet for you, Helen, but I guess I must have skipped over that as well. So that's my fault.
Right. But the documents that came through, when you tried, because it's a document that's basically photographed, you can't blow it up. There's no way to scale it up, or I didn't know of a way to scale it up so that it was easy to read or possible for me to read.
Yeah, is all we have in that multi-page document that short plan?
Yeah. Yes,
Michael?
that's all we have.
Yeah, we usually get a class 1 survey, and that ain't it.
This is the plan, and it does state that it is a class 1 survey. Is everybody looking at it?
Yep.
Yep.
So just under the surveyor's stamp.
Conforms to a class 1 survey standard, which.
Yeah, because all of the surveying is from other people's surveys, actually.
So it's a class 4 survey.
It's
a compilation of other people's work.
Oh, okay, we'll ask her to clarify that.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody has, we've accepted, the board has previously waived class 1s and accepted class 4s in certain circumstances when they've been identified as a class 4. I'm not going to tell you that I told them it was okay, but looking at prior subdivisions, I've seen it happen. But they were identified as such.
I can give you a horrible example of that. On Central Pike, a certain property that had 30
I
acres.
can give you one too.
And 1,400 feet of frontage, didn't have enough to get 2 lots in the end. So, yeah. Okay, because is what I'm looking at there, Michael, that old Plainfield Pike property, that full 62 acres, and then we're proposing the lot to the right, the lot to the center, so we're creating 3 lots, not 2.
I believe it's only 2 lots. Deb, can you,
Yeah,
can
I,
you confirm?
I think it's 2 lots, and what has happened is the lot that's being subdivided is engulfed on both sides
Correct.
for some reason
Yeah.
by the larger lot.
Right.
It's a unusual subdivision.
What?
I believe there are some wetlands to one side, and then there is the existing house on the other side. So they picked out the better land to subdivide for the son.
That would make sense. There are wetlands. If you, I'll zoom in.
See it right there.
These are the wetlands right at the front left corner of that proposed lot, spilling over onto the existing lot.
Okay, but from where your cursor is to the north arrow is still a property?
Yeah, that's the part of the original property.
That's part of the original property. Okay, because I'm seeing map 6, lot 40, 62.19 acres. And then is map 6, lot 40A is being divided into A and B? Is that what we're doing? And the
No, it's
remainder is,
the 62 acre lot, map 6 lot 40, is being divided into 2 lots. Map 6 lot 40, which will now be 56.51 acres, and map 6 lot 40A, which will be 5.68 acres.
okay, I was mistaking that 200-foot dimension line for a property line. Bad on me. Okay.
Oh, okay. I understand
See,
now.
so the divided lot is out of the middle
Yeah.
of the frontage. Okay,
So,
understood now.
Deb,
I
do
was
we-
interpreting that 200-foot line as a,
I can see where you could do that, yes.
okay.
Do we have Miss Nagel on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So if you could just confirm who you are, and confirm that you're the applicant and owner.
I'm Dorothy Nagel, and I am the applicant and the owner, along with my husband.
Great, thank you. And you're allowing your engineer here to speak on your behalf?
Yes.
Okay, so noted. All right, well, I'd probably begin the simple presentation then. This is a minor subdivision. And take it away.
All right, the owner is proposing to do a minor subdivision to take 5.68 acres out of their existing property to provide a place for their son to build a home.
Okay. And so 5.68 and the remainder 56 change.
Yes.
Okay. Do they have OWTS approval or not yet?
We have soils done so that we can tell you that, let's see. I can't remember now whether we have an actual approval. We have the soils that have been done and approved by the state. I don't believe that the OWTS has been done and approved as yet.
Here, I'll bring up the application. We have something here from the Office of Water Resources for an out system.
Yep. I believe it's a 96-inch water table, which is 8 feet. At 200, we are able to get 200 feet away from the wetlands, although there is some on site. So we will be able to design an OWTS system for the property.
Okay. There we go. Right, and that's logged in application 1912-1139. Site evaluation approved 10/24/19. Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, they've got a site evaluation approval, Michael,
Yeah.
listed on the website, so they're in there.
Oh, okay. You're on D. Okay.
Yeah, I went to DEM's approval site. There's no,
Perfect. Okay.
they got a site evaluation approval.
Yeah, we didn't do a design yet. You can see the note at the bottom, no wetlands within 200 feet of the test hole.
Yeah. Okay. Any other input from the applicant?
No.
Does the board have any questions or any preference?
Yeah, I have a question about the elevation.
I'm finding it a little hard to evaluate the application because of the lack of information on the survey that we have been provided.
I guess that my concern mirrors Helen's concern. We generally have enough information to determine if the required setbacks and distances can be achieved relative to the topography of the actual lot. So if, let's say, what appears to me is driveway access that would be extremely difficult for service vehicles, and also a lack of specific orientation given proposed dwelling, well site, septic site, with so much land, we have what I'm looking at is a drawing of an unusually configured lot in the middle of 65 acres, which I guess it would seem that with that much property, siting shouldn't really be an issue. I think other board members might jump in with similar concerns. Generally, we have enough information to give us a visual picture of the potential development that can be accomplished in accordance with our subdivision ordinance. The other big question I have is there an intent for future subdivision? With that big a property, there's still more than enough opportunity for future development, and how that would impact the site selection, which is right smack in the middle of the frontage on Old Plainfield Pike. So I guess lack of information here is something that is a concern for all of us. We just don't have what we normally have to make a good decision.
Okay, you can see proposed house location is down on the lower right corner. And you can see that the setbacks are put in, the proposed property line, and then setbacks on side, rear. And as far as I can't answer to any plans for future subdivisions, I can, and I guess they don't have a house plan as yet. This was just something that they were trying to get a lot for their son, and then he was going to go ahead with what he might want to build on it. So I can gather more information and have an actual house sketched in, and proposed OWTS. The topography is on, it's very difficult to read. The topography.
It is, I guess that's my point. This is really very, very difficult to visualize what the intent is here.
It's actually, maybe I have a better screen or something. I mean, the land rises up toward the east. They want to build the house on a hill down in the lower southeast corner.
Yeah.
That whole area to the west, I know because it goes up to Hauser's Sawmill. Maybe it would be clearer if they showed that that's like pretty much all wetland on that west side.
Yes.
I don't think there's any any highland over there.
No, it is very wet over there.
Yeah, it's very wet on the west half. My question was just because it looks like they won't have 300 feet of frontage left along Old Plainfield Pike for where the original house is. So I think that would answer the question that it would be hard for them to subdivide further in the future because they won't have 300 feet left.
They'd have to create a road. There'd have to be like road creation. That's the only way, I think.
Right. So that.
Can I speak here?
Oh,
Is
yes.
that
I think
Dot?
that's the applicant, right?
Yeah. All right. I'm here, and my husband's here, and he can explain a little bit more, I guess, of our plans. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that maybe Hillary and I are cheating because we might be looking at it at engineers and architect scale. I'm on like a 40-inch monitor here. Are you doing the same, Hillary?
No, I'm just on a 17, but I have.
Oh, all right, okay.
Pretty good eyesight. I can see the contour lines. I'm used to looking at survey maps. So.
Because the east side of the property, I'm seeing a survey that has 300 feet of frontage. It has all the setbacks. It has all the yards indicated. It has a proposed location for a dwelling, which, pending outcome of it does not, well, I don't know how they do site evaluation, but in the old days, we used to put pipes everywhere. I don't think you have to do that now.
No, they don't.
And I see a pretty straight shot in for 400 feet if they stay on the east side of that property, because where the house is, you're in the low 100s. And is this an assumed datum, or is this a GPS datum, Wes?
This is GPS.
Okay. So you got from the southeast to the northwest, you've got a 55-foot elevation drop.
Yep.
But from the near side driveway of the existing homestead, you got a pretty straight shot in along the 80-foot contour. And then you got 15 feet to 18 feet more climb to get to the house.
Correct.
So that's the good side of a 2-story house. It's not ideal, but it's not prohibited. Oh, all right. There's the soil evaluation reports. They're in the 102 to 104 foot contours. There they are. They're in the backyard. And you sure got more than enough in there to get 100 foot to a well.
Definitely.
Would I buy that piece of property without those things? No, but I wouldn't even buy them from my parents that way. But I think that the information to determine adequate geometry is there. Whether or not sometime in the future you want to divide the wetland, that's another application.
Warren, did you, the applicant wanted to say something. Did you want to let them?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we don't plan on any further subdivision on the property. We want to put this one house lot, and it's going to be myself and my wife living in the house. We want to just build a basic ranch house, 3-bedroom ranch with a 3-car garage, 1 floor, and that's it.
Yeah.
The part of the property on the lower side is wetland. We want to be up on the hill. We have no intention of doing any further expanding or anything. We just want to put one more house on the property. We've had environmental service go through all the land and all that. They've been here. They've done it. And, you know, I'm not a professional builder. We haven't got a house plan. We have an idea what we want. We didn't want to do a family compound. We would prefer to have it as a house owned property. And we intend to live here. We're not building it for sale. We're not selling the rest of the property or anything. We're keeping it all. So my name is on the full 62 acres right now, and my wife and myself's name is, and that's going to be on this house lot, and it's going to be me and her living in the house on the property. So we're going through a thinning, working with the DEM on the property. There's been a lot of dead trees from caterpillar damage that have all been taken out, and they're almost done doing that. By Christmas, I'm hoping they're done. And we plan on putting some blueberry orchard in on the side over here by the barn, so we have adequate road frontage with the existing homestead house and barn. And then we measured out another 300 feet for that. And there's another area further down. We're going to be doing an animal habitation planting with the Rhode Island Forestry. So there are no future plans to develop the rest of the property.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what we intend to do.
Yeah, and that drops off to wet between you and the sawmill pretty well. in.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it does. It's all wetland in there. There's nothing can be done in there. It was originally a cranberry bog, that whole area.
So you could have blueberries and cranberries.
I'd like to. I love cranberries.
Even if we go on today's Google, you can see the survey markers out in the road there.
Correct.
Yep. Got a pretty recent Google shot of the street there, so.
Yeah.
Warren, I have a question if you don't mind.
Yes.
Deb, is there any stone wall on the frontage of the proposed lot? I see that it looks like there's some stone wall to the east of it, unless I'm reading that wrong.
That is some stone. That's the landing where the lumbering operation is bringing the logs that are going to the sawmill, going to firewood and whatnot. Those are some rocks along there. But yes,
Okay.
that is the front, about 20 feet in from the street is a couple of good size rocks marking that length right there. It was just for trying to keep people are coming out from driving in, just keeping a smaller entrance instead of
Okay.
the whole width.
I just wanted to make sure if there's a formal stone wall lining the frontage that we maintain that. I believe we have, I think it's a provision in the ordinance that asks that stone walls be maintained.
Yeah, we have no taking that down. Those rocks there that you're looking at the front of the property, we put there when we dug out for the landing, for the lumbering operation.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a rock pile there down by pole 116, maybe?
116 is in front of the new lot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a rock pile in there. And there's a barrier log. Not too much. Before you get to the guardrail.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. North
Further
side of the
down
road,
by-
north side of the road, there's a stone wall, but doesn't appear to be anything on the south side of it.
Right, along where the frontage is, there isn't, but if you go down towards the pond, the cranberry bog, there's stone wall along there retaining, keeping the road up.
Yeah.
But where the landing is and where they're working, there was no stone wall anywhere in there. You go further up past pole 115, and there's stone walls over there that are retainer. And that's where we put the opening there where there was no wall.
Right.
I see, I have the street view up. I can see where the guardrail is noted. And then all the way to the entrance to the existing home where there's a little bit of stone wall. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any sort of removal of stone wall that would need to happen as for the creation of this new lot.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I was looking at. Just wanted to make sure that nothing was going to be removed, but it looks like that's the case. So that's fine. No need to make a condition or anything.
Yeah. Okay. Does the board have a decision if there's enough information to make a decision? Anybody?
I personally don't feel like I would have to abstain from voting because I don't feel I trust what you guys say, but I don't have it myself. I can't make that decision for myself, so I would have to abstain.
Yeah, were you looking at that? Did you get a clearer picture when Mike brought the contour map with the red setback lines on it?
Yes, that gives me a clearer picture, but I don't have, you know, Hillary's ability to move it around and, you know, be able to see the contours and so on and so forth. So,
Yeah, the contours are running north to south on that property. The contour lines are running so that, like, the east side is around elevation 80, 82, and the south side drops down to around 52, 50. So you got a 30-foot cross cut there on that hill across the front of that property.
Helen, I also know you had a question about the class of survey. Did we address that question?
This is a class 1 survey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got the bearings and the angles and the proper dimensions to the proper tenths and.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mike?
The recommended or the action that the board might take tonight is, am I correct, is combine preliminary and final approval for the proposed 2-lot minor subdivision.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the request.
That's the request, and technically, the difference between a preliminary and a final on a minor frontage lot is, once they get the preliminary, the only reason people do a final is to get assurances and financial arrangements to construct roads. So when a board gives a preliminary approval, if it's a minor lot frontage subdivision, they can go record it and sell it. Technically. The final stage is usually when you're doing, although they could come back for the OWTS and the well as a final.
But it appears from everything that's been said so far, especially with clarification from Mr. Nagel, that this is going to be a permanent residence and no further alterations to the property are likely.
Right.
I guess my main concern is, I'm trying, as Helen, it's very hard for me to visualize whether or not our subdivision regulations are going to be able to be met. With the placement of the house as the only item on this class 1 survey, I was always of the impression that a class 1 survey gave you some relative information in terms of house, septic, well, setbacks, and wetlands. And all we have is some squiggly lines and no permanent placement of any of the facilities required to establish a residence. So I guess if the intent is to establish a permanent residence, it would be not unreasonable to ask, please let us know the location of the components that make it a residence, namely the house, the well, the septic, the setbacks, and entrance and exit by means of a driveway. It's going to have to happen anyway in the process of construction. And I feel a little awkward looking at this as a board for approval, not having information that the contractor would need to actually complete the building. I'm not sure what we would be approving here. There's just too much. I think it is, it's not. The wetlands are down there and the house is up here and all we want to do is live here. That's all good, but there's more than enough room there to do everything that everybody wants to see. And I'm like Helen, I have to say, I'm just not comfortable with what I'm looking at to give approval from a common sense standpoint.
Yeah. And that comes down to what they've shown is the property line. They've shown the setbacks. The house can go anywhere in the zoning setback center area that they want to put it.
Has shown a proposed house location.
They are showing a proposed house. they're showing where the soil evaluation tests were done. But even if they came in and showed us the driveway, the mailbox, the garbage cans, and all of that on this plan, after we approve it, they could change it and put it anywhere in that lot they want. So it's, the criteria is that the buildable, the dwelling location area is that area inside the front, side, and rear yard setbacks. Those are indicated. The well isn't
Look at the
located.
northeast corner. It does show approximate edge of wetland and the 50-foot
Yeah.
wetland setback as it pertains to the new lot.
Yes. You know, we could, right, the wetlands would be defined if they went in and showed DEM what they've got here and showed a location for the dwelling, the driveway, and the leach field area, the OWTS area. They're far enough away and high enough above what everybody would know as a wetland there. You know, I don't know if that's that wetland is it says approximate edge and 50-foot setback from the approximate edge, but you still got over 200 feet to the east property line, and it's uphill, so it's, and you can the engineer or the submitter could assure us that that 30-foot cross slope is not a wetland. They could have a biologist do the same thing. So if the board wants to verify the wetland edge that's there, that's on a checklist that could be enforced. The only other odd item to the shape of the lot that Mike mentioned is, you know, you've got those internal angles that technically exceed the recommended, but the board has approved odd angles in many cases in the past. So that 270-degree internal angle there is a technical violation, but with the amount of land they have there, it's not, they're not doing it to squeeze in an extra lot. You know, they could go straight back with both lots, doesn't matter. So I guess the first step would be that the board members are comfortable with the information submitted, that there's enough to make a decision. If you want to vote yay or nay on that, if it's a yay, then you can go forward. If it's a nay, you tell them what they have to submit. The submission, Mike, was that adequate
Would you
to
like
get a?
somebody to make that as a motion, Warren?
Well, my question was that we would, does the board have enough information to make a decision as to the adequacy of the submission?
Well, I guess we'll say for myself again.
So I would entertain a motion that we have enough information. And you make a positive motion, and if you think you have enough information, you vote yay. If you think you don't have enough information, you vote nay. But then you've got to tell the applicant what they need. How was the checklist, Michael? It was pretty good?
Yeah, it was, I believe I had everything.
Is it enough to get a conformance document? It's obviously in front of us, so it.
Yeah, I signed off on it to bring it forward to you guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's.
So our planner has evaluated that there was enough information to put it in front of us.
It checked all the boxes as far as that's concerned. Some of the stuff that we're bringing up tonight is I'd say it's more relevant to the final approval.
Okay.
So, yeah, maybe, I mean, decide whether or not you have enough information on the preliminary first, and if you want to make that motion. I like
because it's submitted as a combined submission.
Yeah.
So if there's not enough to make a final, then maybe there's enough to make a preliminary.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, it was certainly had enough information on the final to bring it forward to you tonight. Otherwise, I would have sent it back. The final. So one of the major issues that's been noted regarding the final is driveway access, and that's something that's specifically called out in the final review criteria is driveway access. So if you wanted to hold off on that, or you as the board can delegate that to me to ensure that a driveway has been shown on the plan in order to be recorded. You can certainly do that, or obviously if you want them to come back, so you can all take a look at it with any other things that you wanted to add on top of that. Some of the things that have been mentioned tonight, maybe that's prudent as well.
Warren, I think you can poll the board rather than have them vote. You can poll them whether you think there's enough, and then you'll know what way to make a motion.
Okay. Just to poll the board members, Helen, just for an opinion as to sufficient information to make a preliminary determination. Helen, turn your mic on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my screen. I have lost my screen again.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Michael, I think, is manipulating the video that we have, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't. Here, I'll just stop sharing and.
There we go.
There you go.
Now I've got nothing.
Oh.
Okay. All right, no.
I don't know what to tell you.
What we want to do is poll the board to see if we have enough information to make, we're going to do preliminary, and then we'll do final.
Approval.
So, do we have enough information to make a preliminary determination on the application?
Okay, I'm polling the board, whom I cannot see even at all. Okay. I have no further video at all. Mike Carpenter?
Yes.
Hillary?
Hillary's nodding.
I'm sorry, I have
So you're just very quiet.
I have no video, so I can't hear unless you speak. I don't know what you're saying.
Okay. Hillary nodded yes.
Yes.
Okay. Warren, yes, right?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
George?
You're muted, George.
Push down the space bar, George.
I think he's trying to say
Say
yes.
yes.
George says yes. Helen, you there?
No, I don't know what George said.
George said yes.
George
There he
just
is.
came in and said yes.
Sorry, the
There you
troubles
go.
of having 3 monitors going at once.
Come on, you.
Okay, and I'm going to abstain because I'm just taking everybody else's word for it. Okay, so that was a 5 yes to 0 to 1.
Okay. All right, so we have enough information to take the first part of the combined application. Would you poll the board to see if we have enough information to make a final decision?
Okay. Mike?
No.
Okay, Hillary?
I can't.
Are you
Can
back?
you hear me?
Yes, now.
Yeah,
Just
we can
very
hear you.
quiet.
You're
Oh,
yeah.
that's weird. I don't know why. But whatever. I'm just one, like, can we just, the information that we would need for the final would be the location of the driveway and the septic system and the well. Was that what we were looking for?
That could be what you'd want, yeah.
Okay,
That would be a-
can we say that, yes, we could have the final if we had that on the plan?
Well, we're basing it on what's submitted.
Okay, so no on the final then.
Okay.
Okay.
Warren. Warren, I'm
I'll
still,
hold till the end.
okay, David.
So basically, all you really need to see for the final would be the driveway, right? And wouldn't the septic and the well, they'd need that to get the building permit with the septic design and everything, wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
Right, so I'm gonna say yes, as long as they, show Michael where the driveway is gonna go.
Okay, George.
I'll agree with that, what David said. Yes, pertaining with the exception of knowing where the driveway is going in.
Okay.
So change mine, Helen, exactly, I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are things we want to see to do the final, or those are things that will give the final without seeing? We're polling to see if there's adequate information to do a final approval.
So
Wait, so-
far, I'm going to vote no. So I have Mike is no, Hillary is yes.
Hillary was a no, change to a yes?
I'm confused.
I think what we're trying to figure out is the applicant has asked that we combined final with preliminary.
Right.
And we don't have, the board does not have to do that. But I think Warren's trying to say, rather than send them away with nothing, if everybody feels there's enough for preliminary, okay. If you're kind of wavering, you think there's enough for final, but maybe not enough for final, we can still give them prelim and then they can come back for final.
Right.
So I think Warren's just trying to make sure, does everybody want to do just preliminary? Is there enough to do a combined before we start making 100 motions and then?
Thank you, Joanna.
So do we want to start over that roll call on the final?
Mike's a no.
Okay, so Mike is no, Hillary.
No.
Okay.
I'll
David.
wait.
I'm
And again,
sorry,
I'm gonna say yes, as long as they show Michael where the driveway's going.
Michael, David, I think you're saying no.
Right.
I think,
You're
yeah.
saying no then. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, no.
you mean no.
Because that would be just an administrative final, but
Okay.
yeah, we can do that question now.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Hey, George,
No.
and I'm no. Okay,
And the chair won't vote on that one then.
okay, thanks. All right, so, good.
Okay, all right, so.
Do you want a poll about having the final be administrative or via the board? Sorry.
Does the board feel that the missing information could be handled administratively?
Well, isn't it going to be through the building department anyway? Isn't
Well,
that?
no, the building department would take a final decision and then issue a building permit. They can't issue on a preliminary.
Okay.
And they won't make the decision of whether what was submitted is sufficient. It would be, if it's going to be done, it'd be Michael, not Rhett.
Right.
And Michael could say, I don't think it goes here, I don't think it goes there, but that wouldn't be Rhett's call.
And I could also refer it back to the board.
Right, and Mike can make the decision and then announce it to the board and the board accepts it.
We have a motion on the floor. Can we move the question?
Yeah.
I don't think we do have a motion on the
Yeah, there was
floor.
no motion.
All right,
need-
well, we have a motion, an agreement that we have enough information to give a preliminary. I'd entertain a motion for a preliminary approval at this time.
Move for preliminary approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Warren,
Mike
I'm sorry, who
approved,
who
George
seconded?
second.
George seconded it.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Okay. Mike,
Aye.
Hillary,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm abstaining.
Okay.
So that carries 5-0 to
Okay. On the, now that we have a preliminary approval, would we recommend or entertain a motion that the final can be administrative? Or do we want them to return with that information to the board for the final?
Motion to have the applicant return to the board for final approval with a better site class 1 survey picture, meeting our requirements.
Okay.
Someone has to tell me what the requirements will be exactly.
House location, well, septic, driveway setbacks, and wetland delineation.
Now, do you want the wetlands flagged by a soil scientist?
Generally, that's the case.
Okay, so we have a motion to have them return to the board.
Yeah, there's a motion, but not a second, as far as I know.
Well, so I was gonna, and that motion is for wetlands, driveway, house location, well, and OWTS.
Yes.
Do we have a second for that motion?
Hillary,
I seconded.
I think
Hillary
it was
seconded.
Hillary seconded.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion on that motion?
If they get the, put the septic on there and the well and we approve it, I mean, they can change it and they won't have to come back in front of the board, right? I mean, before they get the building permit.
They could probably change the location of the house, but once they go for the septic, then that's a little more difficult to move.
Right,
because,
right. You'd have to resubmit and everything, but it could be done.
Yeah, right. And
then they wouldn't come back in front of us, right?
Well, no, they're gonna come back in front of us to present the plan to get our final approval. That's the motion.
Now, are you saying that I need to come back with an approved OWTS?
Yes,
The site plan.
yes, an approved OWTS.
What if they were just splitting this lot to sell it?
Would you buy a lot without an approved OWTS?
I wouldn't, but people would.
People do.
People do it, right? So
People do it.
I don't understand why you need the OWTS on that. Well.
That's exactly, once you approve a lot,
that's
it's a lot. And
Right, but you can sell a lot without an OWTS.
Yep, you can sell it
no,
for
you
firewood.
cannot create an unbuildable lot. And therefore, when you create a lot, you have to ascertain that all of those things are possible. And not just, say, well, probably they're possible. This looks like enough acreage and it's pretty good elevation. They have to show that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Joanna, you're muted. Are you trying to say something?
Yeah, I was like hacking away, so I muted myself. Yes, typically you don't want to move the move it once you have approval.
No, I know, but it can be done.
But it can be done provided that there's another acceptable place on the lot. Granted, it's going to cost them more money and it's probably not something they would do, but it could. This is not saying preventing them and saying, well, this is where you thought it was going to be. That's it. They just have to go through those, get the approval and stuff like that. So it's not, it's semi-permanent, if you will. But yeah, as long as it could be somewhere else on the lot
Right, you can move it.
appropriately.
Okay. And then they wouldn't have, they wouldn't, if that was done, they wouldn't have to come back in front of planning, right?
As long as DEM, they have like the DEM approval, that
Right.
should be fine.
That's their jurisdiction, okay.
Yeah, if we give our final approval and they decide to relocate one or other of the other elements, they still have their final approval and they can do that.
Okay.
We don't have absolute site plan review before building permits are issued, except on major subdivisions.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want to take a vote on
Okay,
having them return for the final
Okay,
approval?
so this is just to give them the direction. It's all in favor?
No, I've got to pull the board. I'm sorry, Warren.
Well,
It's-
no, we have a motion.
Yeah.
And we have a second.
Yeah, Hillary seconded, and then I understand from Joanna that because it's Zoom, I have to pull the board.
Right,
This
correct. We
is
want to
why
poll
I
the
have
board.
to-
So, okay, all in favor, poll the board.
Okay, Mike,
Aye.
Hillary,
Aye.
David. David,
Yeah, aye.
George. George,
Aye.
Yep, there he is.
thank you. I with me and Warren.
Aye.
Okay, so that carries 6-0.
Okay.
And Deb, did we ever get your full name on the record? Sorry.
Deb's last name is Grant.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. So that's it. So we got approval of the preliminary, and you approved, or I'm sorry, you voted for them to come back with the final with those outstanding items.
Plans.
Okay. Joanna, I had drafted a draft motion. Do we need to go through that at all, or it's fine how they did it?
Yeah.
Joanna's waving me off, so
Okay.
I think it'll suffice. So all right. So Deb, we'll just be in contact. I'll draft the preliminary decision, and we'll be in contact. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you to
good.
Dorothy and Ronald. And thanks, Deb.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
If you mind, I'll be right back.
Listen, I have to go get a sweater. I'm freezing in my dining room here.
Okay. She's working on the porch or what?
In my dining room.
Dining room.
Ah.
No, I have had to go and get a sweater too, so.
I came prepared with my sweater and blanket.
Yes, you did.
No, come on, guys. I'm living in a house with no heat and I got a shirt on. Yeah.
I think
you have no
women are
heat.
just always cold.
No
I'm always
furnace.
freezing.
Furnace is out.
Never got put in.
So how, okay.
Are you planning on getting one sooner?
Passive solar, it is 64 degrees in this room.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Very
That's
good.
not that bad.
When it gets down to 58,
Yes.
I have electric radiant heat that the bank made me put in. And I've got a new wood stove on order, so we might use the electric heat rather than smoke the house out with the old wood stove.
Oh, radiant heat is lovely.
Yeah, radiant on the wall, like
Oh, it's not in the floor?
not in the floor.
Wow.
It's a, it's not convection, it's not conduction, it's radiant. It heats, it sends out the magnetic waves and toasts my brain.
All right. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, there we are. All right.
I'm still
Okay.
waiting for Hillary, I think.
Yeah, Hillary will be back.
Okay.
She's grabbing a sweater.
Okay.
Yeah. Or a gin.
Both of them warm me up. Yeah.
Sorry, the wood stove's at the other end of the house.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is review of uses in the GBM zone, and it references 10720 as our reference guide here. So that document.
Yeah, this is continuation of our ongoing discussion on the multitude of uses
Okay.
within GBM, and there's been a lot of discussion about moving things to being allowable through special use permit. Last we had left off, Mike had sent us some information regarding airstrips and helipads. So I didn't know where the board wanted to go from here on that.
Can we push that to a future meeting?
Sure. Where's Mike? Did he step away?
Nope.
Yeah.
Let him.
Because I see
Okay.
the chair, but no mic. And I think also we were talking about that in line with our prohibited uses too, right? Weren't they hand in
Yeah.
hand?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's sort of. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was actually more prohibited uses. So maybe I noted it wrong on the agenda there.
Because I think
As far
we
as
were
the,
then trying to make it a special, trying to
yeah,
push
that
it.
was in discussion as to if we're gonna make it a special use or keep it on the prohibited list.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Oh, so my apologies. I noted that wrong on the agenda. Then that should have just read review of prohibited uses in the zoning ordinance, not the review of GBM uses. But we can talk about. I mean, that was supposed to have been a future agenda item. If anybody wanted to talk on that as well. I mean, obviously it's on our agenda today, but.
Okay, does that give us an agenda problem, Joanna?
If we're gonna vote on anything, yes. Well, I guess step back. If you want to talk about the helipads, what we can do is we can add it. Somebody can move to add it for discussion purposes only, but we could not vote.
Okay.
Or you could talk about GBM uses, which would be, I know so for some members of the board who have been on for a while, that we've had this discussion about the GBM multiple times, and they've been extended discussions, and I don't think we've ever kind of come to any type of resolution or idea. There's just been a lot of thoughts. So that's really the board's pleasure.
I feel like it's a little late in the evening and we have we don't have the materials that we have had, that we've been dealing with before in front of us. So I'd like to suggest that be tabled for future agenda.
Before we move on from that, I'm sure there are materials that we've had in the past, but it doesn't have to be right now, obviously, but if somebody could just follow up with me, the materials that you would like to see if we haven't had them, or, just noting the materials that you have had in the past, just so I can make sure that we have that in hand for when we do have that on agenda.
Not having the official list, who was running the GBM item?
No, nobody.
Nobody.
Well, Helen,
was
Ron
it?
was running it. So when Ron was not the chair, that was his kind of project. And I believe he asked Jennifer to do a lot of different items about that. But right now it doesn't have anybody guiding it. Did you want to do that, Warren? Is that why?
I would take that, and Mike and I will start a discussion the next day. Mike's in the office. He can give me a call.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
George wanted to say something.
Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead, George.
Helen.
I just got questions. Taking a step back to, I don't know if we decided to table the helipad / private airstrip conversation. Mike, is it in your purview to reach out to other planners to find out what other towns have done?
Oh, absolutely,
I don't know
yeah.
how that's normally done, but I feel like we make a lot of decisions hastily. We don't there's no, and no offense to you, Mike, I think you're doing an awesome job doing research on it, and it seems to be a very difficult subject matter to find. But if we reach out to other towns to see what successes or troubles they have had, let's learn from other people's mistakes, in their successes, rather than just taking a shot and ending up with solar farms that don't have a nice tree line to it, or properties that aren't protected or setbacks that we completely ignore that we have in our zoning that we just disregard completely. We're doing a lot of that without any, there's no scientific method here. There's no sales planning about what we're doing yet. And that's, I guess, from a sales standpoint, as a person in our town, that's frustrating me. I feel that as a team, we've got a lot of talent, combined talent here, a lot of intelligent people on this board. We should be utilizing our talents and doing more research and finding out, okay, what's good, what's not good. And that brings us to the next topic, if I may, Chair.
Yes. Okay.
I wanted to do a website or web page or a Facebook page that allows the town to vote. And I know, Joanne, you had some concerns about open meeting law, but I'm saying if we don't respond on that, if we just use it as an informational gathering, then it wouldn't, and it's open to anybody, would that violate any open meeting laws?
So just before, if I can jump in through the chair, we've moved on to the next agenda item, is what George is
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah.
I
Because
segued real sneaky.
he snuck it in there.
It was seamless.
Can we finalize that first agenda, like?
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at. We
Yeah,
just need to
all right,
button up the last
I
agenda
motion to
item.
table it.
So because GBM should have been something else, will
Prohibited uses.
for future agenda. Any
Yeah.
objections to that?
Nope.
Okay.
Should I motion, do we have to motion that or no?
No.
Okay,
Just tabling it.
Yeah.
thank you.
So Planning Board Economic Development Initiatives. This is where George wants to invite as many companies in to charge them as much taxes as we can possibly get them to pay. Am I mistaken in that, George?
A little bit.
A little bit? Oh, you want
to
to invite them in and waive all their taxes?
No, definitely not.
No, okay. Okay.
What I'm trying to accomplish is reaching out to the people in town to have a forum for them to voice their opinion. There is such a negative attitude about planning in this town. I mean, you see it on the and I'm not on Facebook because I think it's too negative. But you see it on Facebook where they're complaining, there's no plan, there's no this, there's no that. They don't know the amount of work we put in. They have no idea because there's no visibility to them, right? What's the political buzzword now that they're using about being open and visible and
Transparency.
transparency? Yes. We're not
Transparency.
So I guess what I'm proposing,
George,
let's be
we
more
could all wear saran wrap to every meeting.
I don't
And be
think-
absolutely transparent with
Don't
everything we
give us
do.
legal advice on that.
And you are never going to get the loudest, most raucous objections until after you've had 40 meetings, worked everything out, put it in front of the council, and then people wake up and complain.
Yep.
Right. So I agree. So what I guess I'm suggesting, if there's a website where we can say, okay, what type of businesses would you like to see? Then we can, and maybe this is a dream. Mike, did you want to say something?
And you're obviously not on Facebook, because the most recent comment on Facebook that I don't participate in was, what we would like to see is not what business wants to do. I had clients who would scour the state, and they had 25 or 30 small business to middle business to box store businesses that they would represent and cite businesses. And they had a specific criteria, and Foster ain't it.
Why?
Population, finance, exposure, and traffic count.
Septic.
It's the
and weather.
science. It's the
I was
science
gonna say infrastructure
of
too.
placing a business.
So how do we?
Michael's got his hand up.
I just wanted to, I guess we're on H, right? Planning Board.
We're on H,
Economic
yes.
Development Initiatives.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a black and white person. That's because of my history, okay? So I can't really change that. But the reality is, an economic development committee was established last year.
Right.
And
About the fourth time.
yes, about the fourth time. In fact, I'm looking at something from Bob Morrow that's dated September 20th, 2005 that addresses economic development. So George, you're absolutely right. There's lots of frustration and a complete lack of confidence in the ability of Foster to attract business, okay? I would only suggest that, number one, what the people want, okay, was identified in a survey that we conducted about 10 years ago. And it was astonishing to see how compatible the objectives of most citizens in Foster were. Unfortunately, not a lot of people realize that the average income for a household in Foster 10 years ago was about $70,000. So we have in Foster, we have homeowners that are bearing the brunt of taxation, looking at an undeveloped major highway that passes from east to west right through the center of town. In fact, you might say two major highways, 101 and Route 6. So the important thing for everybody on the planning board to do is to look at the fact that this Economic Development Committee was assigned by the town council, headed by John Restivo, okay, who's very intelligent attorney in land development. The conclusion was that they needed to purchase the services of an outside consultant to come up with just what you said, George, a definitive plan for specific possible, as Warren referred to, possible development in Foster. Again, and I'm not finding fault, but we have a stack of 9 letters that have been submitted to the town council that you should look at and you should read, because going from GBM and blight and other critical issues that everyone is just about fed up with, were all presented for action.
Right. I'm aware of.
When the Economic Development Committee was established, okay, we required them, and the town council required them, to prepare a report by October 2019. They never prepared a report. The planning board put $33,500 in our budget to specifically hire the
Consultant.
Oh, yeah.
consultant, okay, to develop a plan for the town. Whatever possesses this town, I don't know, but there seems to be an overriding concern about spending money. The reality is the town is rich. We have plenty of money. And there have been many, many times when that's proven out. But rather than spend the money, there's a tendency to do nothing. If you look back, try to imagine, okay, taking and deleting that money from the budget after you appointed an economic development council made up of the people you considered most qualified by age and experience and knowledge to come up with a plan. The planning board recommended the funding, supported the committee, and supports the council by continually informing them of things that absolutely need to be done. We have, the planning board, have one major failure. We are unable to get the council to fund and support the recommendations that we make. So before you get frustrated, you must remember that we work at the pleasure of the council. We are assigned by the council, but unless they fund our recommendations and act on them, nothing gets done.
So I guess, and it could be naive, I admit that I'm new to this, but there's the voice of the people here, right? And that overrules in some way the council.
The people continue to elect councilmen who
Right.
have that same philosophy.
But
So
if we would have
so
some type of-
until the people speak in an election and put members in who really are committed to development and will fund it, the planning board has to go about doing the job the best they can with the limitations we have. We strictly make recommendations.
So I understand what you're saying, Mike. I guess what I'm saying is, again, is there harm in 10 years ago is a long time. There's a lot of new people in town. I'm one of those new people in town. I've been here for 6 years. I know a lot of young families in town. I have a lot of young friends in town. I have a wide network of friends in town from being involved in the scouts and volunteering and doing the things that I enjoy doing. Okay. These people all have opinions. They all come to me with voices. And I always say, then get involved. Don't complain, right? Get
You're right.
involved. I wanted to be involved and shape the town for the benefit of the town, for the future growth, to maintain the character of Foster while supporting the right businesses. You know, and I realize that that's probably more difficult than just saying it. But I guess, is there a harm in trying? Surveys and mail is a thing of the past. As much as I like it, and I'd like to read a piece of mail, a lot of people don't bother with it anymore. It's thrown away. We pay our bills online. We do everything online. So why not do the survey online? And instead of just having a survey.
I move to nominate George Sackel as the author of the new town survey.
I'll look into
or establish a website.
Council. I will look into doing. I don't think that's funny, David. I'll look into doing. Some, and I hate Facebook. If Facebook's the right forum, then I don't know. But I mean, I'd like it to be structured so that if they complain or they talk trash about other people, you're off. And I don't know there's a way you can do that. There's a mutual respect we can have for each other.
Well, but there's a difference about putting a survey online and just having it be a virtual survey, which is not a problem. That is a great idea. But having a forum for people to talk is not something that the planning board can facilitate.
So I'm thinking more of and maybe just a way that they can say, all right, these are the type of businesses we'd like to see. And then you can gather, what most of the people say.
So I would say put your survey online so that people can answer it online. Or, you can do a mass email.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would cost us anything to
It might not.
all right. And because I guess we could also put like a link on the town website. We could blast it out to everybody via email. We could send it snail mail if necessary. All of that is great. We can't though sponsor a forum.
So if I may, yeah, George, that all sounds doable. I would suggest you just kind of, if you want to compile some thoughts, just write them down, the information that you would like to solicit. And then just, send that to me and I'll review it. We can kind of tag team it together. I'll sort of leave you in charge to really bring it through, but I'll be your consultant essentially on it.
Well, I'd like to consult the board too. I'd like to tap into the knowledge.
I was gonna say, George, I'll help you.
Thank you, Hillary.
George, I'll send you my old survey.
I was gonna say, we
That's
must have an
perfect,
old
Mike.
one,
That's
right?
perfect. You give me a starting point because I don't know where to start. But
I'll do that. I'll do that
I was
tonight.
gonna say,
I think that's great. I love you being young and happy and optimistic, and that's what
I
we
haven't been beaten down yet, but I am a stubborn SOB. You haven't met me yet.
All right.
You don't know me
I actually do some Facebook, not as much as some people, but and it's interesting that there are two Foster Facebook pages, one that's very negative, and although even that, like before the election, for example, Josh Manzolillo mentioned how several years ago he wanted to start a greenhouse on Route 6 and have like a nursery business, and he was shut down by the town council. But like, that's the kind of like business I would think that we would want in town.
I agree with you 100%. We want stuff that promotes our image.
Right. And then there's the Foster Gazette page, which is much more neighborly, friendly, helpful, recommendations for this, that, and the other thing. But I wonder do we know what percentage of the town residents have signed up for the email distribution? Like I get notices from the town of Foster probably 3 or 4 times a week. Like they do have a Gmail or email distribution list. And that might be a way to share, whether it's a Google form or whatever format we do the survey in, but that might be, a distribution method.
Yeah, certainly we can do that, and we can announce, at the beginning of meetings and things like that, that there's a survey available, especially if there's like a contentious item on the agenda where we get a lot of people showing up. We can advertise those things.
In the interest of time management, Mr. Chair, could I
Yes.
make a suggestion that this excellent idea that George has to work with Michael on a website be added to our future agenda item as a direct potential solution to or not solution, but an answer to the consideration we have in item H tonight, which is Planning Board Economic Development. I think that would be a very positive, as Joanna said, that would be a very positive and legitimate way of sounding out what the real feel is out there with our healthy young Foster residents.
Absolutely.
And our healthy old Foster residents.
I don't think we necessarily need a motion to do that. I think that with the board's approval, we'll just put that on as an agenda action item for our next meeting.
Great.
Did everybody get the airstrip and helipad?
Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Because that is kind of in line with what George said about looking at what other people do. The airstrip is from Flying Magazine and puts all of this is in response to Joanna's concern about changing special use, or is it, I'm losing my mind here. What do we call it?
Use, and if we're going to do it, make it a special use.
Right, then we have to define it. So
right.
If we don't need to, I'm sure we're not going to have time to get in all that minutia tonight, but what I did with the airstrip is go with the Flying Magazine article that's been very successfully applied across the board nationwide, that puts pretty much everything onto the existing controlling agencies, the DOT, the DEM, the FAA, so that if we say, yes, you can have a special use permit for your airstrip as long as you meet all of these requirements, we're pretty much insulated from venturing out on what you were concerned about, George, an unknown and uncharted path.
And I agree with that to a real good extent, but we have, if we don't feel that those governing bodies have a sufficient regulation, for lack of better terminology, for our town, then we have the opportunity to make it, change that. If we want, instead of 3 acres, if we want 5 acres before you have a runway strip. So we get into real thick water here, and we do this with DEM. We have a tendency to dump stuff on them as if it's their responsibility. But if you read the Wet Water Lands Act, it says the town is actually in charge of that, and the DEM won't get involved until it's been approved by the town. So the town actually has jurisdiction over the DEM when building near wetlands. I don't know if anyone ever read the Wetlands Act thoroughly. It's pretty clear.
George, take a ride down 94 and look where Black Forest Farms used to be.
Yeah.
Because the DEM issued a permit for that disgraceful desecration of one of the most beautiful pieces of property in our town.
I know.
So
that's why I'm saying we have to protect our town.
But we, have to obey the law.
And what's that?
That's what's in the Rhode Island wetlands and the Rhode Island
The
soil
Wetlands
water.
Act actually says that the town holds. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
We're getting a little far off from agenda
this
items.
This is important though, because
I think so.
If we need a starting point, and I agree with George. We need to put every law to use as insulation to ensure that there is an intent to comply. And then when we review the proposal, okay, or the request for proposal from the applicant, as long as they meet all those requirements, we can then step in and say, however, based on the neighboring community, it's not appropriate for an airstrip in this area, and we vote it down. And that's where our authority holds water.
We
If
can
we-
add this to the agenda so we can keep talking about it.
Well, I didn't mean to go on, but yeah, we need to state, you need to state the regulations and the law before the application it appears before us. And as long as it's in compliance with the regulations and the regulatory agencies, then we would consider it for a special use permit.
Right, but then we have to also have our own zoning rules and actually abide by the zoning rules that are in place.
But that would be the zoning rule. That would be the change in zoning. It would go from
Or the flip
prohibited.
side, maybe I'm using zoning to setback.
We're going from prohibited to special use, but only special use, the only time special use is considered is when it meets all the regulatory requirements.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is before we go ahead and start putting things on the special use list.
But so
should have-
if we're gonna keep having the discussion, we have to add something
Yeah.
for discussion purposes, because it's getting like very
Yeah.
off track.
So that's we're currently reviewing future agenda items, zone changes on Route 6,
I think it's more. of a
economic
general-
development,
Yeah.
finalize the comprehensive plan update. I didn't know we didn't do that. Farm, forest, and business accessory uses, another way to get businesses into town. I just sent Mike an email that said share and share me.
Yeah, Warren, I was just gonna ask if you wanted me to share that right now.
That's economic development.
Right. So what are we looking at?
That is the original master plan concept approval for 6 and 94. The bottom one, you're standing at the red light, looking at the corner.
Beautiful.
Helen, can you see anything?
Yeah, I can. Thanks. I got
Okay.
it back.
And Helen saw this at one time, and then there's a site plan that goes with it.
Yeah.
And this is the building on the left top there was the replacement for Countryside Pizza,
Right. Which burned down.
which burned down. And this was done using the open, what's the rural overlay design manual.
Except that when this was presented, Warren, you remember this, our zoning didn't permit it. And so.
Well, there
we
you
had to-
go.
No, come on. We had to develop the general business mixed use zone.
Yeah.
Then it was, and so now it's allowed, but at that time it was not allowed. At that time.
And
we
it
had
was
to-
not allowed because of one zoning item, and that was percentage of land coverage was ridiculously low. And one building, they didn't believe that you could have more than one building on a site, but you could. It was misinterpretation and by people thinking something couldn't be done.
Anyway, it's possible now.
Yeah, and the site plan that this has a very small police station already there on the next plan, on the site plan, if you wanted to share that one.
Did you send me something else, or did
I sent
miss
you
it?
one, I sent you another one.
Oh, okay.
I think I did.
Oh, yeah, you just sent
Yep.
that one, okay.
Share the site plan.
So this is the parcel that the Valentines used to own so that was shot down, Foster Marketplace.
Well, that got shot down because nobody wanted to spend money on a library, which was not part of the problem. He was going to donate. This was going to be a condominium development. And yeah, just rotate that around a couple of times.
So
Like-
now it's gonna be I have not followed up, like, so the police, or is the police station gonna be over across from the current police
The
station now?
police station,
What's happening?
I even stuck a police station there.
We're also getting really off topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but that's economic development, and that could have been done in phases. The percentage of land coverage was right, the water was right, the leach fields were right. That was a plan.
That's a shame.
And now, with the restrictions on that property, that opportunity's gone. And when you go to statewide planning, which also has a great say over what we do in Foster, that was the only site in town that they were recommending commercial development for.
So Warren, if to bring it back to economic development initiatives, this is you're sort of giving us a background, kind of history lesson. Can you just tie it into how this informs economic decision making going forward for the town?
These were an existing restaurant restored, a police station brought in, a business arts center that was recommended on the outside corner that would be similar to the centers up in North Conway, where they have the artist center where all the artists bring their work to.
Okay.
Could have been a community theater as well. Could have been a library. And then the other buildings, the Z-shaped zigzags, were either 1, 2, 3, 4, or phased, small scale, scalable businesses.
Right.
That one right there in the middle is the police barracks that could have been accessed from the fire department into the basement for the Sally Port. Thought everything out.
Wow. Interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to bring it back to just the larger overarching economic
the idea
initiatives.
here is that you can start small, scale, add in steps.
So just because I didn't want people to think we're just like reviewing a site plan that wasn't on the agenda.
No, this is
No, I understand.
how
I
to
just wasn't-
economically develop to scale, and it's what George is talking about. And this thing got so, all right, so they changed the zoning so then it could happen. And then out-of-town consultants came in and changed the whole thing. The library got mixed up and politics got mixed up. And this side of the site was also supposed to be the site for the new post office prior to 9/11, that where the hole was filled and where the signs for the theater are, coming soon signs and stuff like that. That was going to be the new post office. Also would have been a good anchor for it and still could have done some of this stuff there. And, it's countrified. It's not the parking is in the back, so it's not rurally offensive. So it ties into those type of things.
Yep.
And, I think that's where George is going, so this is a little bit of history, and this is what they needed, not what they wanted. So that, and this was scalable for businesses, for people who I used to do business with. They could have probably it wouldn't have happened, like the restaurant would have been rebuilt, maybe the corner would have been rebuilt, and then one of the other buildings rebuilt, or the police station built, and it would have been phased. It might have been a 10-year project. That's
So I guess
economic development at a scale that would suit the town.
To bring it back to overarching themes for economic development initiatives, I guess I'd summarize this as being, does the planning board want to maybe look at bringing in or altering ordinances, or I'm proposing to alter ordinances in a way that would allow for a multitude. How would I describe this property? It's a multi-use.
Right.
Cluster
development.
I guess,
sort of.
yes. I think what we need to get away from is car lots.
Yeah.
I think the more car lots we keep putting in, the more we're pushing out good businesses.
Yep.
And we don't have a tax advantage to car lots. There's no tax advantage. It's a parking lot, and we can't tax the inventory. So,
I understand what Warren's saying from this, where it's scaled down so that it's attractive to tenants who obviously don't need 5 acres and don't want to purchase 5 acres and to put on their own outs and their own well and all that sort of stuff with all this high infrastructure cost. So yeah, point well taken, Warren. Sorry, George, I didn't mean to cut you off. Again, I'm trying to tie it into sort of larger.
And if it weren't for the ledge out by the,
so we're not just talking about a site plan.
If it weren't for the ledge farm out at the pallet company on Route 101, there's a site that's similar in size.
Nice. And what about where the burnt down diner is on the end of Route 6 there?
I don't know what the acreage is there, but you know, you got a cranky neighbor there, so I'd be careful.
I mean, we've got
yeah.
We gave
all right, so
a good lot to solar farm, so
change Mount Hygeia to Cucumber Hill, and you got a goal there.
Just can I give David a little, give George a little background?
Yeah.
That
I'm enjoying the history lessons. Please.
Where the solar farm is used to be an illegal graveling operation. Just so you know, it's not that it was. That's what it was.
Right, but that could have been great for elderly housing. You know, elderly housing, elderly
came and proposed elderly housing to us, but there still are many places on Route 6 where there could be elderly housing if we can get somebody to come in with that proposal.
I mean, I think that would be a nice thing because we don't have the tax expense of having children in school. I'm guilty of having 2 in school.
Shame on you.
You can be angry with me now, but
you've got to do what I did, George. I put 3 through the school system entirely, and now my grandson's town is paying to send him here.
Oh, you're utilizing that. Yeah. And the what is it? The Pathways program or whatever it's called.
The fact that I have a grandson that hit high school is depressing enough.
Upriding.
But
some of the things that you're talking about, like trying to encourage like a senior living facility and stuff like that, those are things that I know we've talked about hiring a consultant. Excuse me. I know that but it could be something that we could put on our next agenda to talk about. Can we find a consultant that then we can make that recommendation? I don't know that I know Mike mentioned that it's in the budget, but it could be something that maybe we send over to the town council. Like, we think that you should hire this person for this, to do this specific, because you can get a consultant who is very broad-based, or I think you can have somebody try to focus on these are the type of things we'd like to attract, help us. And we had somebody come and talk to us. A consultant came and talked to us. Jennifer had arranged it probably a year or year and a half ago. Does anybody remember?
Yeah, it's about a year and a half ago.
From CVS.
Yeah, and he had also done some private stuff, and so we've had people come and talk to us before. I don't see why we couldn't try to arrange that again.
Well, I mean, at what point do we need the consultant? Just as far as setting the guidelines, as far as, you know, the ordinances and the zoning for the particular.
No, they actually
they actually go out and try to solicit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
they
what I
need
want
to find you people. Yes.
You need somebody to come in and shine the reality light on it and say, here's the types of businesses that are seeking this type of area. And, you know, that don't, you know.
Now, I know this is, well, yeah, all right.
You know, I think Mike's probably been through that a couple of times, right, Mike?
Yeah, I guess what we're talking about is familiar to everybody.
Yeah.
But again, try to be black and white. And what we should do as a planning board is write another letter to the town council to be read at a town council meeting to everybody on the record, recommending that that money that was originally budgeted, $33,500, be used to hire a consultant to put an economic development plan together.
Yeah.
Simply because there was a meeting held between planning, the Economic Development Committee, and zoning. It was only attended by Chris Stone. He was the only council member that showed up. When that recommendation was wholeheartedly endorsed by everyone present, if I'm correct. Were you there, Helen?
Yes.
Yes. And it only makes sense because if planning says we need a plan, but we do not have the professional expertise to develop it, nor the time, then we must hire someone to do that. That's very logical course of action. Can be posted on our website, George. This planning board sent this letter to the council recommending that on the basis of the Economic Development Committee's recommendation and mutual encouragement and support from zoning and planning, the recommendation was to hire a professional consultant to develop an economic plan for just, and very specifically, for just the general business mixed use zone on Route 6. Because, not to regress, but please remember that the general business mixed use zone was 3 years in the making.
Zones.
And, say again?
I said
Plural.
zones.
Yes,
Zones.
3 years in the making, and the result of 3 separate public hearings, which were well attended. More people showed up for the public hearings regarding general business mixed use zoning than did at the financial town meeting.
Yeah, they were held at the Payne School. Lots of
Yes.
people came. Yeah.
In fact, one was so big, we held it at the South Foster Fire Department.
Yeah.
I think it was, I don't mean to quibble with you, but I think that they started at South Foster Fire Department, then they were too big and they went to the Payne School. But
Okay,
anyway,
maybe, yeah.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of support. Then there's a lot of support now from the people in Foster, which you'll find out if you develop a website, to make a professional, take a professional black and white approach. Hire a professional, task that professional to come up with a plan for a specific kind of development where our zoning permits that development. Then we'll see some success.
And to point out to us perhaps what might be wrong and prohibit those types of developments that developers, investors would look at unfavorably to turn them more to a favorable to that type of development.
So I guess.
So, all right, so I think that we have talked that. We want that as an agenda item, Mike.
Yep.
And as Helen said a half an hour ago, Helen, it's getting late. So the future agenda items we just extended, and that zoning and business development be done with planning and economic development, maybe, Mike, or has that been tried and failed?
No, it's time for action. It's time for, and I'll be happy to write the letter. I wrote most of the other letters. I'll write the letter to the council. I'll reference the timeline and the commitment that's already been made by all of the boards and by the Economic Development Committee as well, and ask them to please consider funding a consultant, and that can be on the agenda for one of our meetings. Everyone can mark their approval.
Before we recommend hiring a consultant, should we determine what the people are looking for types of businesses? Is that a wasted?
No, because they're no more qualified than we are,
Yeah.
or more current or more cognizant of available funding. There is money out there, and there is support out there for economic development.
So you're saying we should have guidelines for what we're looking for?
No, it's a black and white. Before you open a store, okay, before you develop a service business, you have to have professional marketing identify the potential in order to get your funding. If you go to the bank without a business plan, you don't get a loan. Okay, so this man will develop our business plan. Now, input is extremely important, but it falls on the side of support rather than real dollars to produce results. This individual, this consultant will commit to producing results. That's what we need. We need to stop the conversation and get a plan in place.
Okay.
And Warren, if I may, the distinction that George is making is just that the difference between the types of business that would locate here versus the types of business that he's suggesting that the townspeople would like to
Right.
move here. So, and that distinction can be drawn by the differences in approaches versus hiring the consultant to create the plan that shows what types of businesses
Right.
would like to locate here, and with all the relevant economic base information that goes along with that. And then the survey, which surveys people, what kind of businesses would you like to see?
And
The people might like a deli, but if the business plan shows they're only going to sell 2 loaves of bread and a pound of bologna, it ain't going to happen.
Right.
Exactly.
In the reverse side of it, that my concern is if we spend, we're trying to get the buy-in here to spend money, and if they come back and say, oh, well, a big warehouse because you're centrally located on 395, you can hop and you can get to Boston easily, you can get to Connecticut easily. We've got a great highway structure where we're at, a beautiful one, right? We can get anywhere very quickly with 395, but the town does not want a big warehouse there. So if we spend all this money on a consultant to come and say, oh yeah, well, warehouses want to come into Foster, that's going to go nowhere. And then we just spent all this money again on a consultant. So it's a chicken and egg argument, really, isn't it?
I understand.
That's
your
why
concern.
the old gun club property off of the road behind Shady Acres winds out, and that road that cuts in was unzoned for commercial use.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's a big place for a big warehouse. That's why.
Yeah, so you're never going to get a big warehouse there or the buy-in on a big warehouse. So, what comes first? Do we get a consultant first, or is it kind of a simultaneous thing, Mike? You think, based on your experience?
Believe me, the guy makes his living knowing what's appropriate for the areas that he's developing.
Okay.
That the CVS rep that came to visit us, who also does private consulting, made that abundantly clear. The only thing Rhode Island doesn't have is trained people and land. We've got land. Now, whether we have trained people or not remains to be seen, but we do have land.
Right.
So that's a plus factor for us. And I don't think you need to drive up and down Route 6 more than once to realize nothing's been happening here for a very long time.
We're taking what we can get, and that's a terrible plan to have.
Absolutely.
Terrible plan to have, because it's making us look like trash.
And I totally agree with you, George. We definitely are going to have, and I think Mike just pointed that out. If you hire a consultant, you can provide the guidance that you've received from our constituents, the people in the town. And I'll share that. I'll share my survey with you. And if you can get an online survey working at the same time we're searching for a consultant, then the whole project becomes very seamless.
Yeah, you can give them, they're gonna evaluate the different types of businesses that may or may not want to locate here, and you can tell them specifically, I want you to evaluate, and to use Warren's example, delis. Would delis survive on Route 6? Then you can ask them that specific question to incorporate in their review.
So
Anybody ever been up to Sugarloaf, New York?
No.
Look it up. It's an artist community where they have little, guys will make dulcimers, guys will make pots, guys will make coffins, musical instruments.
Yeah, that would be
It's
awesome.
a center of attraction. I had proposed putting it behind Shady Acres on Tom Woods Road in the 100 acres back there, and getting a grant from the arts, and with the arts community that you have in this town, putting something like that would draw outside people to those artists, give them a business place. Sugarloaf draws all kinds of art.
That's actually interesting, Warren, that you're saying that, because that's something that I'm also on the board of Rhode Island Forest Conservators. And one of the areas that we've been talking about for a while was developing like sort of a place where people could sell wood-made products. And there are a lot of people in town that make things out of, the local native woods.
Oh, you've got furniture makers out here that are to die for.
Yep.
So
hell,
our state rep is one.
a furniture maker?
Yes. Mike makes some nice pieces of furniture. It's a hobby. It's
Didn't know
not a
that.
career, just
Warren, does that land, what is that 100 acres of land there?
that 100 acres of land was in the Hopkins estate. I also have another plan that when I was on the recreation committee with the infamous Ron C., we tried to get, does well. We could have purchased that property for $99,000. It's on the north-south trail. It would have qualified for 50% matching DEM grant. And there's enough upland there to take all the remote sports activities, put in the Woody Loudon Recreation Center over there, basketball, soccer, a riding trail through the wetlands. That's another set of plans I did when I was on the recreation committee, trying to get something done. That went all the way through. We tried to get $50,000 matching for a $50,000 DEM grant, and they score things by how they already fit in with the existing infrastructure, and putting it on the north-south trail was a slam dunk.
So the town didn't want to spend the 50,000?
It was in a bad year. It was in a down financial activity year, and that's when they should have spent the money.
Mm-hmm.
I think the total roll-in was like $70,000, and to put that kind of center behind a business that's already there, the right side between there and the little car business beside it, Tom Woods Road goes back, heads out and comes out onto
Chippy
Schoolhouse Road. And it would have been a winner for a DEM grant. We could have got open space land money for it, and the open space conservation land trust type thing not only does land to take it off, but it can also do passive and active recreation.
Can we kind of move along?
Yep. So and that would have been an economic driver to the existing businesses. But
so I'm going to write the letter to the council.
I'm going to write the letter.
And George is going to get a website started.
Can you slow down on the letter?
We're going to put that on the
so that we
agenda
can
for
start
next
the
time.
website
Yes.
or start the survey let's get some information gathered first, because the information may help us sell the letter. You know what I mean?
Did we want to suggest a specific consultant? Did we want to maybe have some research on a certain, so that it's not just we want you to hire somebody, it's here's who we think we should hire and here's why?
Yeah, I think we need to I personally agree with you. I think we need to gather enough information to sell it. Right now, we're
And
not
then we
selling
can have
it.
an actual price as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm so old that the guy I used to work for retired, so I'll see who he turned his business over to, maybe.
There's plenty of consultants out there that do that sort of work. So.
Yeah, I'm on the phone 4 or 5 days a month with Steve King down at EDC in Quonset. I'll see who he's got on the string.
Quonset's done a nice job.
And then
Yeah.
we can add that to the next agenda, so then we can get the information from Mike, and then Mike can do the letter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Good night,
do I hear a
everybody.
motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
says Dave. Hillary seconds.
Doesn't need a second. Hey, a motion to adjourn.
Well, Joanna.
Doesn't need a second? Okay.
Oh.
All opposed?
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right.
Night.
Good night.
Trial
Feel
by
better,
fire.
Joanna.
Everybody
Mike,
just say
take care.
aye.
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 Hi.
Good night. Thank you, everybody.
All
Good
right.
night.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night.